James, we
Yes, sir.
the first segment of this intro was talking about your restaurant, how it came to exist, and your dream, your vision, your goals, and then we took a quick break.
Yeah.
And tried your amazing food.
Yeah.
And I'm hurt.
I know, it's pretty rough.
I'm telling you what, but it's what's crazy is we tried 5 different, really like 6, 7, 8 dishes. By the time you put everything together, it's like I can't find one that's like that's the one. Like I literally feel like I have to keep coming back to do a different one, depending on whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner,
Right.
whatever it is. And I really want to pride you just on everything. I mean, there's nothing like, even in the restroom, the love letters, right? Like everything's just so personal, and people don't do that.
Yeah, nobody does that.
And that's what I love is the authenticness of that. It's like, I'm always inspired as an entrepreneur myself. I'm always inspired by their journeys. But one of the things that I like to talk about is it's not the easiest road to travel.
No.
And a lot of people, it's like, the biggest misconception is you own a company, so you have it made financially, mentally.
Right.
Everything's just going great for you. You're wealthy and all these things, right? Isn't that a great misconception?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, when I lay down at night, I claim to have a superpower, right? Which is that I can go to sleep anywhere. Like if you gave me another 5 minutes, I'd go to sleep right here. Like it don't matter. I'd lay down on the floor and go to sleep. I slept under my desk at times, right? Like I can sleep anywhere. But this adds this whole other level of stress to where I can't sleep. Even though I know I'll go to sleep in 5 minutes, my mind will not stop worrying for even 5 minutes unless I distract myself. So I have to put in a podcast. And I'll put it in and I'll select it on YouTube. I'll set my phone on the side of the thing and I won't hear the first word. Yeah. But my mind already will release all of my problems and concentrate on the podcast. And then I'll go to sleep. And I'm asleep and it's like somebody hit me with a hammer. Boom, out. But yeah, the struggle is real. I don't really worry about me so much. It's just that I've taken like my kids' college money is in this restaurant. Yeah. If this doesn't succeed, I'm not really helping with college. Yeah. So I need this to work. One of my managers who's been with me since day one, he said, Bobo, because I told him the other day I was walking through the parking lot at Sam's and I found a dollar bill laying in the parking lot. And I picked it up and I said, I'm going to give this to the first person that I see that I just am interested in. And a little girl in a restaurant that we ate for lunch was getting berated by her mother. And she was about 7. And so I went and gave that dollar to that little girl. And me and Dior, he was like, dude, that's so awesome. He goes, and anyway, so he was like, hey, by the way, did you save the first dollar you earned? I was like, I will when I earn one. It's been 1.5 years and I still have not taken any money out of this restaurant. It's like, it's a passion project at this point, and it needs to make a little bit of money. I wish I had the difficult decision of trying to figure out which credit card I was going to pay down a little bit. Yeah. None of them.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because it's not just, you're thinking about the money that you started, right? It sets you back with the kids' college funds. Yeah. But then you're thinking about, the other people who have been cheering you on this whole time, right? It's like, like my wife, when I started my company, and it's like, I never really thought about myself. I'm like, well, I'm going to give it a shot, and if I'm good, I'm good, and if I'm not, I'm not. Right. There's all the people behind me that I felt like the letdown was for. Right? It wasn't even for me. Yeah. And she would always claim that, self-worth is what I was seeking, and that was my whole entrepreneurial spirit or my workaholic problem, right? No, it was really about just showing validation that I'm good at what I do and that I can solve somebody else's problem. Yeah. And so you work, right? Yeah. And when you work for somebody, they take advantage of that. You work harder, and they take advantage more. And I think that drives a lot of people into the entrepreneurial mindset. But one of the things, even for me in my business, is employees. Because we created a job for ourselves at this point. Yep. Me and you. Yep. Yeah, exactly. But we created a job for everybody that's here, and we end up caring about them. Yeah. So it's like, at the end of the day, they have to get paid before we get paid. Yeah. It's like payroll's first, then the utilities and the rent, right? And then we start worrying about the other things. And it's like, that right there, I know exactly what you meant about, having to shut your brain off. I used to be that same exact way, fall asleep on a dime. I could be in the car, which I hate being faster, but if I am, I'm asleep. You know what I mean? Like,
especially when the sun's out. And man, on a cool day where the sun's shining in there and you don't even want the AC on because just the warmth of the sun is what you want. And it's driving at 2 in the afternoon, man, I am like dangerous. Like,
oh, for sure. It's that warm embrace. It's like
it's like being back in your mom's belly.
Going back to our natural natural thing.
Exactly.
So, but that's the one thing I've noticed too, and you can talk on it, is that we take care of these employees, and one, it's hard enough to find them, and then when you find them, you're trying to find loyal ones. That actually see the bigger picture, because it sounds like what we've talked about is that you're very open about your own struggles with even the people here. And that's how I am. I'm very open and honest, and I don't, there's a lot of things you probably just shouldn't talk about as far as like, if you're struggling to employees, but it's like you want people to understand, hey, I am just like you. I have bills, I have struggles, I might have started this, but I have a lot on the line here. But yeah, it's hard, right? And that's one of the things I like to try to reach out with my guests, is to get them to understand that you come sit in this restaurant, they think everything's just kind of like, it's great. They got all those nice decor, great story. Everything must be, he's back there, Scrooge McDuck jumping in the safe, and it's not the case. So
they see me counting the money. They don't realize that every week I have to go get $3,000 out of the bank to give to the servers for their tips. It's not that I'm counting the money that the company earned. I'm counting the money that I'm giving to my staff.
That you got to pay back out. We've had that issue too. Just we'll do a job site. We're more in construction trade, but sometimes the customer will give the check to the guys. Well, they'll see a job that's $10,000.
Right.
And they're like, oh, that's
boss just got rich.
And I'm like, well, first off, just the material alone is 55% of that. Then the payroll's another 20% of that, and sometimes more if they went over in materials. And they did this, they did that. And so they just assume, right? So that's just the gross profit, right? But they're looking at the whole check. Oh, you got $10,000 for this. Well, dude, these guys make this much money. The bills are this, and then the lights, and then the insurance, and the taxes, and it's like, okay, so how much is really left, right? But to them, it's
they think $10,000 is left.
And it's like, okay, I see where this is going. And that's the hardest struggle. So let me ask you this: when getting into the restaurant business, I mean, you had to know going into this industry, this is one of the hardest industries to get into. Like, not to get into, you can get into it, but to stay in it. And like, so what was your thought process? Like, was this always the dream?
Kind of. So when I was 20, I started working for a guy who owned 2 little pizza shops. Him and his wife, he ran one, she ran the other, and I was the right-hand man at the smaller one. And my life would be a lot different if I just stuck with him, because eventually he owned 4 pizza stops, and he comes to me, he's like, hey, have you had chicken wings? This is like 1992. And I was like, I think they have it at Bennigan's or something, Chili's. And he's like, so I'm thinking about opening a restaurant that just sells chicken wings. I was like, wow, that's crazy. You think that'll work? Yeah, I think it'll work. So, because I want to be small footprint, and where they basically, most of it's to go, and they just come in and grab their wings and go. And I'm like, all right. So anyway, a year later, I'm working at the very first Wingstop. And so we've all heard of it now. And I went to college instead, right? Instead of continuing to work for a little fast food place. But I know some of the guys that stayed there, they're millionaires. They drive Lamborghinis and stuff like this. And I don't regret, but it always gave me that entrepreneurial spirit to see him create that, and then to be so proud of the success it had, and to reap the rewards. And I felt like he had a great idea, and it revolutionized a little portion of the restaurant industry. And I think that's my advice for any new business. Have a great idea. Don't just, I want to have a business, I'm going to make a pizza place or whatever. Like, it's got to be different. You got to do something different. And so I had a great idea 20 years ago and almost started a restaurant then. And it was like a sort of a snappy salads concept, but it was 20 years ago. Yeah. And I think it would have worked. Obviously, some of those places work really well now. But now the market's changed and there's a little bit of a saturation in that space, and you'd be competing against other established brands. And I felt like I love biscuits, and biscuits are sort of an emerging menu concept. Most of the major markets have a really good concept about biscuits. Like Nashville has one called Biscuit Love that's phenomenal. Colorado has one called Denver Biscuit Company. They have like 6 locations. The Biscuit Bitch in Seattle was the first one I had, and that one has 4 locations. Sunny Boy Biscuits in San Diego is amazing. Out of Jacksonville, there's one that's got probably over 50 locations called Maple Street Biscuit Company. So, I know the concept will work. There's success being had in it, and we make ours. One of the problems and challenges with biscuit sandwiches is that it's gonna fall apart. Like, I have every once in a while somebody, well, my sandwich fell apart. Well, yeah, man, I could use yesterday's biscuit and it won't fall apart. Yeah, today's biscuit falls apart right out of the oven. Yeah, so you just kind of have to kind of embrace that concept. And I felt like some of the places doing a fast casual version of it, they don't give you a good knife and fork. Right. And you're sort of eating it out of this bowl with your hands like an unsophisticated child. And I felt like we could do better than that. And then lean into that. So we really try to emphasize the fine dining aspect of our thing, even though we call it faux fine dining. Right. So it's sort of a ruse, right, where we're acting like we're giving you great service, sort of tongue-in-cheek. You want to talk to the biscuit sommelier, I can call him over. But that said, really good service is what we want to be known for, and we really try to do. I tell my guys all the time that bringing everything to the table exactly as they ordered it and exactly when they want it is service. Sure. Beyond that is hospitality. You got to tell them stories. You got to entertain them a little bit. You have to tidy up their napkins. You need to pick up their straw wrappers. I even tell them, if they order water, bring the water, and then say, hey, would you like some lemon with that? And then go make another trip to get the lemon. You could do that all ahead of time and save yourself the trip, but that's not adding service. You add service by doing more, and you got to find creative ways, and that sort of sounds like manipulation, but it makes the person feel good that you're willing to make another trip with something that you thought of after the fact. Yeah. You bring the fries with the ketchup. You might like this with gravy. Go get some gravy. You don't bring it ahead of time. Like, you make extra trips out of nothing to show the people that you care. When they walk in the door, we don't have a hostess, so we have to walk up to the door to seat them. I was like, put pep in your step when you do it. Yeah. Act like you're excited and that you're in a rush to get up there to greet them. Make them feel like they're the most important people in the room. If you're picking up some plates, set the plates down and run up to the door. Oh, hey, how are you doing? Glad you're here. Have a little enthusiastic.
Like, even when I got out of high school and started my adult life, I was working at like Subway, Burger King, stuff like that. Yeah. And I became like store managers and shift leaders at Burger King, store manager at Subway. And that was the biggest thing I pushed is, I don't care how your day went, greet every customer that comes to that door. Yeah. Make them feel welcome. Yep.
Act happy.
And that's what I took that in my whole entrepreneurial journey is, I don't, everybody's a potential customer, but they're also a human. They're a friend first, right? It's like, I'm not going to get every sale, but I want everybody to be, feel welcome, feel like I care, and I truly do care, and that's what's the easiest part of it. Yeah. It's like this. I truly care about, the experience that you created for these people, and that's one of the reasons, our producer wanted to do this, because he's had a very good experience here, and he's like, look, we got to do this one, being our first night food type review. And I was like, this is like what I'm passionate about, is help finding other entrepreneurs who know the struggles, right?
Yeah.
But helping them grow, because, you know, there's so much big box stuff, right? There's none of, you know, our mom and pops, right? I'm technically a mom and pop, you're a mom and pop. Mm-hmm. It's like we could do all of these things, but we're fighting the big fight.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, our local communities need to step up and help small business.
Right.
You know, and that's what we need more of, you know? And when you started this, what caught you off guard? 'Cause I know if you're like me, you thought you had it all figured out. I had sheets out the ass.
Yeah.
You know, tens of thousands of hours over the years of thinking about it.
Yep.
And then it finally came to action.
Right.
And I mean, hell, sometimes I still surprise myself on, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Didn't expect that.
I mean, I had 15 years in my industry before I even took the jump.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot off other people's money.
Yep.
And I'm one who doesn't believe in reinventing the wheel. So if I have a conversation with an entrepreneur that did it, I'm trying to listen. You should get up there.
Oh, yeah.
It costs much money, but then it's like, I still somehow managed to run into shit.
Yep.
So what caught you off guard? That people just don't think about it.
The time that it takes to create a new concept is immense. One of the things that I did do a good job of early on is that I had a really nice computer set up at home, and I would do spreadsheets and stuff like that at home. But then the contractors would be up here working, and so, oh hey, perfect timing. Thank you, Brett. So then I would have to come up here, and now I'm waiting on contractors to get here doing absolutely nothing. And then I go home and I need to measure something, and I gotta come back up here. So I finally just moved my computer up here, even though there was nobody here. And then every day I would get up in the morning and I would get to work, and I would work on this, and then I'm able to work on things I needed to design menu and wait on contractor at the same time instead of one or the other. That helped me a lot. One of the mistakes I made early on is that I'm a very capable person at a lot of things, and maybe I definitely should have outsourced more of me. I should have added this onto so-and-so, this onto so-and-so, this onto so-and-so, and not been such a perfectionist to the point that I say, you know what, F you, I'm going to take that back, I'm going to do it myself, I'm going to do that myself, I'm going to do that myself. And that just created this really long timeline of, because my own bandwidth is only so much, even if I'm working 16 hours a day, which I have been doing for the last 2-3 years now, it's still not enough. You know, there's not enough hours in the week for one person to do 10 people's worth of work. So one of the miscalculations I made was the general contractor says, to do this space, I probably need $75,000. I don't got $75,000. Well, what I didn't realize is that what he's saying is that he's now going to pay for those contractors within that $75,000. I think I'm going to pay him $75,000 so that then I got to pay the plumber, and then I got to pay the electrician, and then I got to pay the painter, and then I got to pay the guy, and then I got to pay, and then the inspections and no, all that's in there. Oh. Well, if I'd known that, I wouldn't have tried to be my own general contractor. Sure. So the irony is that, say that cost me 6 months of setback at $20,000 a month. That's a $120,000 setback. Yeah. And I feel like I endured that, and I paid that out of my pocket to learn that mistake. But you bounce back, you try to move on, and you just try to make the best of it. But
you know,
the good news is that during that time I learned how to play the piano.
Okay. That's where you try to close your mind and distract it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, we both had a little throat clearing session there.
That season will change, man.
Yeah.
But the one thing that kind of caught me off guard too was, like, going into mine was the amount of hours I had to put in. You know, because I'd work for people, and I was willing to put in whatever hours it took, because I always treated their company like my own.
Yep.
But then I did not realize Because I thought, you own it. You made decisions. There's not a guy I have to answer to. Be like, you got to be there from 8 to 5 or this and that. Because even when, that's like the unwritten rule with all the things I work, I still work sometimes till 10 o'clock at night. Whatever it took to get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's what advanced me in my career for working for other people.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm in control. And somehow I was still working from, say, I get up at 5, sometimes earlier, and then literally get home at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, it put me in like this deep, dark compression for like almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's a very lonely feeling.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that too. Like, I do feel all alone.
Yeah.
Like, it sort of makes me tear up. I mean, I have this amazing support group of friends and family. Like, I consider this one of the most blessed things that's ever happened to me. But some of the guys that I met in high school have stayed friends for 30 years now. Yeah. Like, there's most people in the world that don't still talk to even one friend that they met in high school. And I have 20.
That's good.
20 That's people huge. That all talk to one another, that all would drop anything they're doing to come help me. And yet, so me and some of those guys would go to happy hour every week on Wednesday. And we did this for 15 years. Every Wednesday we'd go drink a few beers at a bar and hang out. And the real heartbreaking thing for me is they're not here. Yeah. I opened a bar 5 minutes from where they're going to tomorrow. Right. Tomorrow's Wednesday, and they won't come here. Like, they've come here like 3 times. And I'm on like a thread or an email group chat where they're like, hey, where are we going to happy hour? And every time I'm just like quiet, and they're, let's go to blanket, or let's go to let's try something new. Let's go to and I'm like, motherfuckers, I own a bar that's struggling. I need you. Yeah. They don't ever think of it.
And that's the.
And I even like, sort of swallowed my pride a little bit. And in January, I knew we were going to be slow, so I like texted that group of guys in that thread and said, hey boys, I know you don't want to come here all the time. January's going to be slow. If you could make January Bobo's your spot for January, I would be so appreciative. Yeah. They came one time because 2 of them had somewhere else to go, so 3 of them came. Like, one time in January. Yeah. Like, I had 3 guys, and I'm like, are these really my friends? Like, I don't know, man. I've got better friends that I've met here that would actually do something for my restaurant, that actually come and help me and support me. And they don't even take advantage of the loyalty program or anything like that. Yeah. They don't ask for discounts. Like, they just come and support me. They get quality products for a fair price that they were going to spend that money somewhere else anyway. Right. And so it's like,
the thing. It's like, you can have this. I always call myself sometimes a joke, and at the same time, I have a very tiny group of people in my life. There's like 3 people in my circle. Because at the end of the day, I know, like, I can call them, I can trust them, I can confide in them. Even though a lot of them they cannot relate at all with what I do or what I go through. But they all still, like, when I went through my darkest stages for over 2.5 years, and finally this year I've finally come on the other side of this.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's it. But all the people that run for the hills.
Yeah. When you really need it.
And that's the thing. It's like there's some people in that circle is a little bit bigger, but it's like it's gotten smaller because I'm like, where were you, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the easiest thing they can do. They're going to spend money right now, tomorrow, on a Wednesday, right? Why the fuck not here?
Right.
There's not one drink you don't have in this bar.
Oh my God.
Get over there.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I can guarantee it's a more enjoyable experience right here than at one of these local places over here.
Right.
All day.
I even put beer on happy hour special all day just for them on Wednesdays. Like, I created a happy hour special just for them. Never came. So, killed that.
Yeah, I mean, Honestly, I hope they see that, because
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's a miscommunication that I'm just not pressing the issue. They're thinking, oh, we don't want to bother Bobo. He's way too busy over there. Okay.
But but that's the thing. And obviously, as men, we have a hard time communicating
the need for help.
Expressing our need for help.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
That's where we have a hard time.
And I think,
and that can be part of it.
Absolutely.
But if they see this interview and they still don't come, then that wasn't part of it, right? Because those guys, obviously, for happy hour, because they're struggling in certain ways in life.
Sure.
So why not come here and do it?
Yeah.
It becomes a familiar place with a familiar face.
Yeah.
So, and it supports your local business. They should be proud of you. They've known you since high school.
Yes.
There's a 30-year bond there.
Right.
Where are they? That's what we need. And
it's crazy.
That's one aspect of it. But it's like all these people living up here around the corner.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I know one of the things that me and Eric talked about was social media, but there's also, you got to do more than that. And I've been struggling with bandwidth. I need boots on the floor marketing is what I call it. I need to walk over to the apartment complex and give them some flyers. I need to walk over to the hotel and give them some pamphlets. I haven't even stepped foot in the hotel to see what pamphlets other people have up there that I should get printed to put up there. It's not even that hard. Like Vistaprint is just a click away. But I got to design it. I got to figure it out. I got to do that. I got to go over there, and then it just stacks up, and then you realize it's been a year and I haven't done it. Like, here, I want to tell you something too. So this is about self-awareness, right? So I was talking to my son, who's 13 now, and he struggles sometimes in school because he just doesn't do the assignment when the teacher tells him to. And I was telling him there's two types of people in the world. There's the type of people that, okay, you've got a week to do this project, and they start right then and they're done in 2 days. And then there's the people that go, okay, well, it sounds like I've got about 6 days of free time until I got to do something. And they don't realize it's going to take 2 days, so then they're struggling to get it done by the deadline. And I'm that latter person. And I said, son, if you're going to be that person, the quicker you recognize it, the quicker you'll be better off. It would be wonderful if you were the type of person that when you're told to do the project, you do it until you're done, and then you go have a great time. Because what's more, we all struggle with wanting to be free. Right? So when they give you an assignment, you take your freedom and do whatever you want to do for 5 days with that lack of freedom looming over your head. And I've got to do this project, but right now I want to shoot baskets. Or right now I want to play video games. Right now I'm watching TV. But you still have that looming over your head. Is that really freedom? It's not the freedom you're looking for. The person that slaves away at doing what they were told to do the very day they were doing it, like obligingly, like non-defiant, like obedient person, so lame. And then after they're done, they are truly free. They have nothing hanging over their head. And it is so illogical that I am the type of person that doesn't do that. But I don't do that.
Hindsight's 20/20.
I know. So what I was telling him is I struggle with that a little bit in this business. So as you grow, you start to realize ways to phrase your faults into successes. If you're a procrastinator, go into an interview and say, I'm good under deadlines. I work well with pressure. Okay, yeah, true, I do. And I am a succeeder. Deadline, get right up against it. I still succeed. I still make it.
Critical thinking is on point when it's the last minute.
I'm strong. I am strong at those minutes. But then you work for yourself. Who's setting those deadlines? Who set that deadline for me to get DoorDash set up? Nobody. So here I am, a year and a half in business, still don't have DoorDash set up because nobody set a deadline for me.
Right.
And I don't got no reason to get it done. I keep thinking I can do it tomorrow, and now a year and a half goes by and I still don't have DoorDash set up. What kind of dumbass am I? Right? And so
it's overwhelming.
But it's like I need to solve that problem where I either become the guy that gets things done without the deadline, or figures out a way to create real deadlines that I work to and perform under. I don't know, but that's one of the things I'm struggling with, and that I've struggled with since we opened.
So you have that aspect, and one of the things I've seen even through myself is you've taken 2 days off in 2.5 years.
No, well,
roughly.
No, I mean okay. Since we opened, I think I took 5 days off in 2022, and I've taken 3 days off in 2023. Okay. And every time I go home and have dinner with the wife, I feel guilty. Especially on nights where she needed a good night's sleep, so please come home early tonight. I come home early and she goes to sleep. And I'm just sitting there by myself, laying in the bed with her, watching some stupid TV show, thinking I could be home redeveloping menus, I could be updating the bourbon list, I could be this, I could be that, and my mind is racing on all these things that I should be doing that are weighing upon me. I should be setting up DoorDash right now, but I'm laying in bed to comfort her so that she can get a good night's sleep.
You know, the one thing I would have done differently from the start is I would have involved my wife in it, because one, we failed to connect on a lot of things now. Right?
Sure.
And so, two, I stopped spending nearly enough time with the wife and kids because I'm never home.
Right.
And so that created a whole nother level of problem for me. And that's one of the things that I always look at, and I always tell people is like, if you have a small group of people, the business will run without you for that day or 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Mentally, it does not run because you're stuck, right? You're just like, oh shit, what's gonna go wrong?
Yeah.
Right? So mentally, it's like you're not even off. Those 5 days in 22, whatever, those weren't 5 days.
Oh no, they were not freedom. They were like back to that. I was not free. I just wasn't at work. And yeah, like one of the days that I took off this year was April 29th. You know, so for the first. So all summer long, people are like, hey, so what days are you here? Yeah, April 29th. Oh, what's April 29th? That was the only day I've had off this year. And so my son had a basketball on Friday night, and it was one of those games where he has such a strong spirit about basketball, but he just hasn't grasped the competitiveness of it. And so, you know, sometimes somebody's dribbling the ball and he's like, oh excuse me, like, boy, grab the ball, grab it and take it the other way, right? And he's good when it clicks, but sometimes it doesn't click. Anyway, so he was on a bad team and they were not winning many games, but they were in a game on a Friday night and I wasn't there because I was working, and they had a lead going into the fourth quarter against the best team in their league, and they're the worst team in their league. And it's a competitive game, and the lead changing is going back and forth, and they push it to overtime, and then they get into overtime, and he misses a shot, and he's not the best player on their team. Like, they shouldn't be putting the ball in his hands and then blaming him because they didn't win the game. But that's the way he perceived it, is that he lost the game for them. And I'm like, number one, you shouldn't have been winning that game anyway. Number two, they shouldn't be depending on you. Number three, that's part of life. Just, you miss a shot, you don't make it, it's okay. And anyway, he had that and he cried himself to sleep that night. And so the next morning, see how I get teary-eyed right now. So the next morning I picked him up and I said, let's go to breakfast, just me and you, buddy. And we went to breakfast at this little place. It's right here in Plano called Dub's Tea and Water, or Tea and Eats. Fantastic place. Just go chill, go see Lance. Anyway, so we go there and we played a few board games. And we just sat and relaxed. And then we had some pretzel rolls and sat and relaxed. And then Lance mentioned that they were going to play poker later that night, and Heath was like, I want to learn how to play poker. I'm like, all right. So we stayed there the whole damn day. I didn't call here. I didn't text. They texted me something. I'm like, yeah, sure, go do that. Whatever you think's best. And we just sat there, me and him, my son, the whole day, playing board games. He beat some grown-up at chess. We learned a new game called Albacore. We just a fantastic day off. But yeah, that's one day. And then the other 2 days were for my fiance's birthday. It was Labor Day, and she didn't have probably during this video, I've probably called her my girlfriend, my fiance, and my wife. We're figuring that out. Anyway, so, we were supposed to get married, but then COVID happened, and then we were supposed to get married, and then restaurant happened, and we just haven't figured it out. But she's super sweet, love her to death. So her birthday was on Labor Day, and then we had a staffing issue. Labor Day was busy as hell, and so I called her at like noon. I was like, baby, I'm gonna spend the whole day with you tomorrow. And so we did that on September 5th, and then later on that month, last month, my birthday, and so we just scheduled, okay, another Tuesday. We had such a good time on the day, we spent a whole day together, and that was so rare for us, her work schedule and mine, and so now we've done that twice, and so that's my 3 days off so far.
Yeah.
So I was talking to another restaurant owner, an entrepreneur, that's a really cool guy too. His name is, I'll have to look it up. I don't know what, Blake, something. Anyway, he and I were talking, and he was like, have you set a schedule for yourself? No. He's like, if you don't set a schedule for yourself, you'll work all the time. Yeah. Set a schedule. Make a schedule, show up on time, set an example, let your staff know what your schedule is. Yeah. Set a schedule, be there on time, do what you say you're gonna do, leave when you say you're gonna leave, have your days off, get that in place, otherwise you will be miserable. And I have done that a little better. I haven't done that perfectly, but just having that notion, and this is part of life. Life is a lot about shades of gray.
Okay, we're going there.
Didn't mean to find you that way. But I mean, nothing is black and white.
Yeah.
Everything is somewhere in the middle, and it wanders around, right? And if you just completely ignore things, you wind up being all the way one or the other and making mistakes. And you need to be in that middle space at least, right? Trending toward getting better all the time. Nobody's perfect. Yeah. Get better. Don't be perfect, be better. Be better than you were yesterday. What if you were perfect yesterday? Be better again. Yeah. Do it twice.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, even for me, I do this. It's like I started to do what you're talking about, create a schedule.
Yeah.
And then I decided to start a podcast.
Yeah, now you got a new schedule.
And so it's like, so while we're doing all this, it's like, oh man, this is going to be like a 2-hour deal turning into 4. I'm like, how am I going to squeeze the rest of my day into this? You know what I mean? But that's the entrepreneurial mindset. You're like, you're trying to figure it all out. And I guarantee you're like, I've got things I got to do. Right. And I've been doing this a lot longer than I thought I was going to do it for. And it's like, but then it eats on you, it feeds on you, and that's the toughest part. And that's what what he is right about the days off is you find your, especially like say like mornings, right? Mornings will be slower like during the week, Tuesday, Wednesdays, whatever.
I can get some shit done.
It's like get your shit done. You know what I'm saying? Like,
if I'm focused and efficient, I can. What's funny though about your schedule? To say, well, I had a plan and then something happened and that ruined my plan. So now tomorrow I'm going to go into it with no plan. Well, now you're going to have a bad day for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine if things happen and change your plan. Adapt, be flexible, be quick on your feet and make those changes and reassess. That's fine. But to just go in with no plan probably means you're going to sleep in and fuck off all day.
It's the domino effect of what's important for the next day first.
Yeah.
And then I'll fill in the voids.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, I did not do that on Tuesday, but on Wednesday I really need to do that because I know Thursday's payroll day. But I'm really not going to have time there.
Yeah, payroll's going to suck.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I have to look at that. I have to domino effect on this. I don't sit there and like calculate my entire day how it's going to go because when you do that, it doesn't go that way.
Right. And if you're not good with setting a whole schedule, just have a couple of goals. Yeah. Every day, wake up, have a couple of goals, or maybe make a few goals for the week and work toward those. And maybe you find that if you're really efficient on Monday, maybe you get one of Tuesday's goals done. And then on Tuesday, you might get Wednesday and Thursday's goals done. And then by Friday, you're like, what? Maybe today's the day off. Maybe.
Just maybe.
Maybe it's a gift.
Well, James, we can keep going. And
I know, like we could talk all day.
I think what we'll end up doing is we'll break you free from here for like 2 or 3 hours. In the coming month, and have you come to the studio in McKinney.
That'd be fun.
And then sit down, relax, have a drink with us.
Yeah.
And then we can get deeper into just the entrepreneur and the journey and your upbringing. I mean, just like all the way to this dream.
Yeah.
But I think for right now, for today, I think that's about all we can do.
I love it. I've had a great time.
It's been a pleasure, James.
Absolutely.
And I already know.
You're a pretty good coffee delivery guy too. You know, you brought me some.
Did you like it? It was like hand modeled.
Yeah, it was like.
Yeah, I had to do that.